Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Screen Sanctum. On today's video, I'm going to go through my top 5 Our Flag Means Death happy moments. Hopefully you all checked out my previous video, the top 5 Our Flag Means Death heartbreaking moments, and I will post that up here or somewhere and at the end. Today's video is just for some happy moments, and I picked my 5 favorite plus a couple of honorable mentions. Like I said in the last video, there are so many moments, it's hard to pick which ones are your favorite. These are my top 5 happy moments from the show. Yours will probably be different, and I hope they're different, and I hope that you post them below. Let's get into the top 5 happy moments in season 1 of Our Flag Means Death. And we'll start with number 5, and this was happy and funny and hilarious, was Frenchie and Oluwande's pyramid scheme. Now that was pretty dope because earlier in the season, I was told, I didn't pick this up, that I think Oluwande was wearing Crocs, or one of the pirates was wearing Crocs, which wouldn't have existed back then. But I was told it was one of many things that they kind of take from today and put in the show, even though it takes place back then. And the pyramid scheme was another one, and it was really, really funny how Frenchie and Oluwande were scamming all of these old school pirates out of their money. I think they were selling like pieces, literally pieces of pyramids to them, hence the pyramid scheme, hence why that joke worked so well. It wasn't like they were doing a, current time pyramid scheme and using the word. So it makes total sense and it fits the show. Selling portions of pyramids to stupid people, beautiful pyramid scheme. Number 4 to me, because I just have these next 3 in front of it, is Ed and Steed in the moonlight. When Steed says, you wear fine things well, and he puts the pocket square in his pocket. That was such a great moment because, again, this came also a little bit earlier in the season before something else from my list shows up. So this is at the point where we're all hoping something happens, and we're waiting for little moments, and we get some here and there. But this was the one to me where I was like, this is going to be a great relationship. Not only Pirate and Fancy Boy, but it looks like they'll be, moving towards the way of being more than friends and potentially lovers, in which we see later on. So this, to me, was that point where I was like, okay, they're really going to do this. So number 4 was the little pocket square moment. My number 3 happiest moment was in connection with number 4 when Ed and Steed had their first kiss. That was part 3.1, and 3.2 was that pan out shot at the end of the episode where Ed touches Steed's toe, the little toe tap that we all love so much. So those were going hand in hand with number 4, where number 4, they just had that little moment in the moonlight where you see where things are going to progress. And here you see, I believe the toe touch came first, where you knew like, okay, they really, really care for each other. And then they have the passionate, beautiful kiss that they shared together. And that was wonderful, even though we were heartbroken by the end, hence my heartbreaks video. But that's my number 3 moment. Number 2 is another first kiss, and you'll see a trend on my list. But number 2 was Oluwande and Jim's first kiss. Now, many of you would probably think that I would put this number 1 on my list because my favorite characters are Olu and Jim. But there's a reason why my number 1 is my number 1. But this was beautiful because we had the little piece at the end of, I believe, episode 8. It was either 7 or 8, when they go to Jim's hometown and Oluwande and Jim are together and they're talking, and they get really close face to face, and they're about to kiss and they're interrupted. And that is always shitty. So I thought the way they write this series, that we were never going to get it. So I was so happy that we got it, I believe in episode 10 at the very beginning. But that was kind of like expectation subversion, in a sense that they started an episode happy and us thinking the episode would stay happy, and they basically cut our balls off at the end. But the Olawande and Jim kiss was beautiful to me. And it's number 2 because I picked up on them from episode 1. I felt like they were going to have something throughout the season more than a friendship. And I actually turned out to be right. I'm never right, but that is my number 2. That wonderful kiss between Olo and Jim in the season finale where Jim comes back and meets Olo and they're talking about what he did with their room. And he had to tell her that, he had to tell them that he gave it away. So before I get into my number 1, I have 2 honorable mentions. My first honorable mention that was kind of happy and cute and silly is when Steed was telling his crew scary stories. He did this at the end of episode 1. He mentions it in the beginning, I believe, that he likes to tell them stories, and Olo was telling Lucius that, he pays them for being on the crew, and, why would you want to jump ship or mutiny when life is good? And then at the end of the episode, you see all the pirate crew sleeping around Steed, and he's telling them a cute little bedtime story, scary story. And then a couple of episodes later, he is doing it again with them. And also, I think he tries to involve everybody in the middle of an episode, and they're like, your stories are not scary, and they're trying to tell scarier stories. So that was really cute. Honorable mention number 2. This I literally picked up today as I was scrubbing through the season to find pictures for this. And I totally forgot about this, but this was a beautiful moment for me because, one, Jim is one of my favorite characters, was when Lucius found Jim's family dagger and gave it back to them. That was so cool because the episode before is when Jim knocked Lucius out because Lucius found out that Jim had a secret identity, that Jim was not a man. And Lucius found that out. So Jim knocked him out and put him in the trunk. And then I thought it was a really good way to get their friendship back on track where Lucius kind of understood what happened. And Lucius was obviously very scared of Jim. And even at the end of the episode where he gives the dagger back, he's kind of like infatuated for a second. That was a really good moment. So Lucius returning Jim's family dagger back was an honorable mention. But my number 1 happy moment from season 1 is when Lucius and Black Pete kiss, or their budding relationship, their romance. First, they get caught in the beginning having sex when they're supposed to be working by Izzy. And then after that, there's a wonderful scene of them finally, kissing. Obviously, it's implied that they're having sex and they kissed, but later on we see them actually kiss. And that was adorable because, one, and this is why I put it above Olo and Jim, is because from episode 1, I really didn't think that Lucius was going to be a very important character, only because I thought they were just giving us a stereotypical, character. And then Pete, I thought was just going to be, the comedic relief, and he wasn't going to be important, and people were just going to make fun of him, and he was going to be in the background. I didn't really think they were going to develop this much, and I'm so happy that they did, which is why that surprised me, and it was wonderful. So those are my top 5 happy moments from Our Flag Means Death season 1, and of course my 2 honorable mentions: Steed telling his crew the adorable scary stories, and Lucius returning Jim's family dagger. And then I'll just go through 5 to 1 again. 5, Frenchie and Olawande's pyramid scheme. 4, Ed and Steed in the moonlight when he places the little pocket square in his pocket and he tells them, "You wear fine things well." Mwah, beautiful. Number 3 was Ed and Steed's first kiss and the toe touch. Number 2 was Olawande and Jim's first kiss. And number 1 again is the budding relationship between Lucius and Black Pete. So there you have it. That's my top 5 list. Now, I'm sure in a couple of minutes I'll be seeing your top 5 lists in my mentions below. Hopefully, like I said, you don't agree with me. So I'm really, really looking forward to hearing what your top 5 is and your takes on mine. So with that, leave all that information below. Check out my Discord, my Twitter, my Instagram, all Screen Sanctum, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, guys.